A good evening to all of you for this Monday evening session. It's the 19th of February. It's been a couple months since we've done one of these online Cinoco masterclasses, but I at least am very happy to do this one again and just to get the new season started. And we start, usually you go out with a bang, but we start with a bang this time because we have my good friend Shilton Almeida here, who is going to talk to us about the Milk and Honey distillery. And we are, of course, going to taste a couple of these samples. Shilton, how are you?
I am very good. Good evening, everyone. I am sitting right now in Spain, having an Estrella.
When in Spain, do as the Spaniards do.
Exactly. So yeah, the whole team is up here in Spain today and tomorrow for 2 days. We're just visiting. We are in down south, of course, visiting our sherry cask suppliers and talking more about sherry for the next 2 days. But start with the beer, of course.
Of course. You just arrived. You just arrived there today.
It just arrived early morning. Woke up in the morning at 3. Yeah, early morning flight, 6 a.m. flight. So yeah, going with it. How long? I don't know, but doing it.
Yeah. Well, this tasting will only take about 7 hours, so you'll be fine, I guess.
Absolutely. I love that. You know me very well. I can do that.
Yes. Just before we start, Shilton, I always like to start these sessions with a little outside the box question. So what I want to know today is, how do you keep your beard in good shape?
2 words: milk and honey.
There you go. Such a professional. Well,
I'm actually talking about milk and honey.
Are you? Perfect. Well, maybe I don't know how you want to start the session, Shilton, but I think we should get something in people's glasses and then have you tell something about the distillery.
Yep, for sure. We're gonna start off with. I've actually managed to get some samples as well, so I'm joining you guys as well. We're gonna start off with the pomegranate wine cask.
Mm-hmm.
You have to help me with the lineup as well, because I've not access. But we're starting with the pomegranate for sure. Something very easy for what I will say is a very summery dram or a summer dram for me. Very easy sipping, very fresh, very refreshing dram. So it's a good one to start with. It's at 46% ABV. We always had an Apex pomegranate, which is a cask strength pomegranate, but this is an Elements that we do once in a year for the Jewish New Year. We will love to have this in the core range if we have enough cask of those. So not an easy one, not an easy task, to make it. That's why we do it once in a year as a small batch. Again, if we all know about how we do our Elements range, in the Elements range, we keep about 50% of the liquid as the recipe of the classic, which is ex-bourbon and STR. So in the same way for this one as well, we keep 50% of the liquid will be the classic recipe, and only 50% whiskey is matured in a pomegranate wine cask. The higher, the cask strength version of that, or more flavors in it, will be the Apex pomegranate. But this is more approachable to everyone. Mm-hmm. It's more approachable on the palate. It's the whole idea is get something which is more accessible to everyone. That's why we came up with this expression. As I said, it's a very refreshing dram. It's a perfect dram to start your session with, or sipping whiskey.
There's a couple of questions that I have. As long as people are not asking questions, I will be asking questions. So it's a pomegranate wine. It's a special edition for Rosh Hashanah, so the Jewish New Year. How different is it from the standards?
From the standard Apex pomegranate that we do?
You only do the Apex, of course, which is cask strength.
We have always been. We started off with the Apex near cask strength about 55% ABV, 56% ABV. That's what we started off.
Okay.
But then we will love to keep it as an elements range, in the core range. But as I said, just because we don't have enough cask, we cannot do it. That's why we ended up doing it once in a year in a small batch. On the profile of it, as I mentioned before, it is more accessible. It's more easy sipping whiskey compared to the pomegranate wine, the Apex pomegranates.
Yeah.
Quite fresh. A lot of floral notes that you will get here, but the best thing about this is on the finish, I always get it's very refreshing. It has got a hint of kind of a soury note to it, which is kind of that makes it very refreshing.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my palate. Everybody have a different palate, and as everybody knows, I like my sour beers a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why this relates to a lot of that freshness to the dram.
I can see on the bottle it says 3,678 bottles, so a limited edition, as you said. You were talking about the difficulty in getting these casks. These are local. This is local wine that you use.
This is so pomegranate wine cask. Israel is a country. Pomegranates are part of the culture, and when I say part of the culture, there are a lot of every occasion, every function, you see a pomegranate fruit being used. There is a winery called as Rimon winery. So we started working with them when we started the Apex, and we said, let's try the pomegranate wine cask just to see. Big success, something very unique. Only we as a distillery do it using a pomegranate wine cask. We have won so many awards because of this, as well as being more innovative and trying something different. So we started doing it, but we started doing it as a 55% ABV. It's higher cask strength. But then again, when you do a cask strength version of it, which is kind of 80 euros, and then okay, it is nice, it is great dram, but it's not something which everybody will buy. Why don't you have something easier? So as a brand, we will say to try a pomegranate wine cask, try this first. If you like it, then try the Apex pomegranates.
Yeah, just to get the easy way in
the
to
idea,
taste it. Yeah, the idea. A couple questions. Shilton Thomas is asking: is it a special type of wood? Is this oak wood or
European oak?
European oak.
Yeah.
Okay, so no special local woods for this.
No.
And Dirk wants to know: is it the pomegranate wine itself? Is it dry wine? Is it sweet wine? What kind of? How do I imagine this?
Pomegranate wine. So basically, the wine that you can make from the pomegranate fruit is all kind of wines, from dry to sweet to dessert to rosé to all kind of wines. And we have tried. If you look at the Apex pomegranates, every batch is very different. Like the batch 1 that we did was finished in a rosé wine. The batch 2 that we did was fully matured in a pomegranate wine cask. Batch 3 was a sweet pomegranate wine cask as well. So there are different types as well that we try. It's not one particular wine cask that we use, but just because we wanted to try different types. That's why if you try a pomegranate wine cask, and single cask will be what kind of do you want? What kind of? Also to mention about the pomegranate wine cask, it's not easy to make a wine from the fruit.
Okay.
Couple of challenges that you come across is because to make the wine itself, the fruit itself is not very high on sugar. Right? We all have tried a pomegranate fruit.
You have to work for the alcohol.
Yeah. So you have to. The sugar is less, so you have to add more fruit to it. The second biggest challenge is when you're crushing the grape, the fruit. It's not easy because you have to be careful because the pomegranate seeds, which are very pulpy, they have a bitter seed inside. So you cannot be doing a very hard crush because then it's going to be bitter. So you have to give a very soft crush to it to get the juice out. That also means that you have to again use more fruit to it. So it's a challenging thing. We are struggling to source more casks to make it because there are other countries I've heard. I've not tried myself, but I've heard that there is pomegranate wine coming from Czech Republic also. I've not tried myself. But
Lebanon makes it too. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody who's tried a pomegranate wine cask, honestly, it's not one of the best wines.
I'm actually
But
wondering if it's being imported to Belgium, because I've never seen it, a bottle of
no,
pomegranate wine.
I was in a kosher wine shop in Belgium. So out of all the places I was expecting it to be there, it wasn't there. So I don't know if
Okay. Is that also the reason that they are making this in Israel, because it's easier to make this kosher, or is it the same thing with grapes?
it's easy because you grow a lot of pomegranates in the country.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's easy. I've seen pomegranate which are such big pomegranates, it's like a small watermelon. Every time I say a small watermelon, people say like that's not how big a watermelon is. I have seen a small watermelon how big it is.
But it's something you're not. That's not easily bragged about. I've seen a small watermelon. I mean, it sounds a bit silly.
Yeah, exactly.
Dirk has got a bottle. He says he took one from the airport in June. So yeah, we'll meet up, Dirk, and we'll try it together.
Yes, Derek, I
He's
will
showing
let
it
you
now.
know. Derek, I will let you know my next date. I'm coming to Belgium.
All right. Guys, you're tasting, so I'd love to see some feedback on this while you're tasting this. So just put it in the chat. Meanwhile, maybe something about the distillery itself, Shilton?
Yep. So we, as a distillery, we started off in, the whole idea about the distillery came up in 2012 when Gal, our CEO, our current CEO, and his friends get to a bar, get drunk, and decide, let's start with a distillery. Fantastic. I don't think I will ever come up with this idea, but personally,
I think you often have already, maybe.
I do discuss it when I'm drinking, but next day morning I say nope, it's not a good idea. Well, then Gal was very serious about this and said, let's start with it. And but the biggest challenge at that time was there was no distillery in Israel. So we did not know how it's going to work. So the whole research started off, and when we started researching, one name came up is the late Dr. Jim Son. So he came up and he helped us set up the distillery. Dr. Jim was known for his work with Kavalan, Kiloman, Cotswold, Penderyn, all the distilleries, and that's when he came on board and said, he helped us set up the distillery. 2014, we finished up the setup, and 2015, we started distilling. We only launched the first whiskey, which is the Classic, in 2020. It took us 5 years to release our first whiskey, which was a 3-year-old whiskey. Mm-hmm. So after 5 years, we came up with a 3-year-old whiskey. The reason behind that is because we worked at that time, in that 5 years, we came up with something called as a young single malt. You'll be very lucky if you find it on the shelf today. And if you find one, please grab a bottle. It's called as a young single malt. We can't call it as a whiskey because it's not a whiskey yet. But that's when we got it out in the market and we got feedback from people saying, what do you think about it, about the whiskey, about the liquid? And based on that feedback, we designed our first expression, which was the Classic. Yeah, that's the timeline on the screen, as you can see. After the Classic, we got the elements, the 3 elements that we have: the peated, the red, white, and the sherry. The sherry being as the best single malt whiskey last year, and of course the Apex. 2 of the Apexes which have been most popular is the pomegranate wine cask Apex and the Dead Sea Apex.
Yeah. Short timeline. Maybe you already talked about this elements sherry that won the award last year, and that's also the next one on the tasting lineup. So maybe let's go over to that one.
Yep.
How big was the surprise last year when this whiskey got awarded best whiskey in the world, best single malt in the world?
I just jumped from the table when I was there. Like, I knew something was coming. We all knew something was coming, but we were not sure what was it. And this was huge. I mean, the one thing which we discussed and talking to Gal, our CEO, was saying, you always dream. And as a brand owner, as someone who owns a distillery, you always dream about the question I asked him when I joined, for example. I said, what is your dream? And he said, at some point, Shilton, in the future, I want M&H to be the best single malt whiskey of the year. And this happened the next year, after when I was working with the team. So I sat with him after that. I said, well, that is done. What is next?
Yeah. Let's go on to the next dream.
Yeah. So what's the next dream now?
Yeah.
So that was so quick because you always dream to get an award of that as the best single malt, but then coming in a short time was a big success. Elements sherry cask, again, it's a very well balanced sherry. It's not a big sherry bomb. It is not meant to be. It's a core range product. It's at 46% ABV. Just like the pomegranate wine cask, this is 50% of the classic recipe, which is ex-bourbon STR, which is our signature. And only 50% of the whiskey here is matured in sherry cask. Two types, Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez. So it's a good balanced sherry whiskey, I would say. A sherry cask matured whiskey, which is the good introduction to sherry cask whiskeys. For us, as when we started off, it's not easy because we wanted to make a sherry cask whiskey, but it's not easy because there is we are a kosher certified distillery. There's no kosher sherry in the world. So how do you source the cask? We can't just source the cask from random, cooperages, but we can't just get cask from anywhere. We have to be careful of where we get it from, otherwise we lose our license, our certification. So what do? There's no kosher sherry. What we did was we had to go back and make our own sherry wine. So that's what we are visiting tomorrow over here in Spain. That's why we are here. I have not seen the place. I'm seeing them tomorrow as well. So we make our own kosher sherry wine first, season the cask, and then the cask are sent over to Tel Aviv to mature. So it's very well monitored sherry wine that we make. So if there is anybody who wants some kosher sherry wine,
bring some bottles, Shilton.
Yeah, there is our you should see our team, our production team. That is, so every time we send the sherry cask all the way to Tel Aviv, we of course have to keep some wine in it because otherwise the cask would dry off because of the weather. You should just wait and see the team waiting when the cask arrive to empty the cask to get the sherry out of it.
Yeah, because the sherry is actually not bottled, not sold. It's just only there for seasoning the casks.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a sad truth. Which is a sad truth about the industry today. Which is a common thing.
Yeah. It's everybody does it like that, I guess, nowadays. So, and which was the bodega you were working with?
We work with Rodriguez. Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow, there's a couple of questions here. Well, Dirk is just casually mentioning that they still have about 5 bottles of the last one in stock, the young single malt. So that's good news.
That's nice.
Yeah. Bjorn is asking about the first one, the pomegranate. Is this a new batch? Yes, it's a special batch, Bjorn. So it's a limited edition for Jewish New Year. So it's a little bit different. Question from Thomas. Shilton, with the rising prices, are there future plans for blends in the vision of M&H?
Blends as in the core range product? Well, I don't know if it's the right word to say, but it's a wetting of different casks, not a blend. It's not a blended whiskey, but that's what we keep in the core range. So one of the things with M&H is that we use different flavor components to make a whiskey. So we take 70% of ex-bourbon, 30% of STR, or something else, and that's how we make our recipes. Going ahead with the prices increasing, well, it's getting difficult, and for us at the moment it's even more difficult with the shipping, with the costs going very high at the moment. We are stuck with this. We will not compromise on the liquid for sure, at least in the core range. Small batches, we'll see how it goes. It's a small batch releases, special editions or something different. That's why if you look at it, this year we have limited our small batches. Our special editions are not much. There's art and craft, and we'll talk about that later. But we're coming up with that at this year for sure.
Yeah. I guess also for making blends you need grain whiskey, and I don't know if that's produced in Israel.
Well, to making blends, we have to work with some other distilleries as well.
Yeah.
There are not many distilleries in Israel at the moment. There are about 3 or 4 distilleries who are very small. Not much. You will not see them much in Europe, or I've seen 1 or 2. I've tried 1 at least. So it's not much that you will see around to try it. Mm-hmm. Going ahead, 5 years later, things will be different for sure. So I can see that growing. Even our guys itself, Tomer and Gal, they have opened up a small distillery as well, which is an NGK distillery, which, by the way, won as the best new make spirit at the World Whiskies Award this year.
Okay.
For a new distillery. The liquid is not ready yet. It will take some time, as in the whiskey, to be ready. But we are coming up with something new as well.
Mm-hmm. Cool. There's some talk about Gonzalez Bias making kosher sherries too, so that might be another source for you guys. Maybe a good question from Matthias. So as for now, the entry level for M&H are the classic and the elements range,
yep.
price-wise, I mean. And he's asking about, are you thinking of doing expressions for the on-trade too? So to get M&H more into bars and cocktail bars and stuff like that.
For the on-trade, I know how it is. When it's talking about on-trade, it's very difficult, right? It's a very different topic to discuss. When it's talking about on-trade, it could be something with on-trade as whiskey bars or on-trade as cocktail bars. When you're talking about cocktail bars, for me, if you ask me, our point of sale will be the classic, of course, and pomegranate. The elements pomegranate as something unique and different, which is my selling point to a cocktail bar. But you also have to consider the price point of it. Mm-hmm. 50, 60 euro a bottle. Will you want to have it in a cocktail? Is a question coming up from the bartender, not from me. That is what I will push. Going ahead, we will like to have a chill filtered whiskey, something at 43% or 40% ABV, something which is, supermarket brand, as we call it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call it the same, but in the UK, at least, we call it supermarket brand, getting into the on-trade for the cocktails as a pouring, sipping whiskey. Going ahead, yes, we are thinking of it. We might come with that idea at some point, sure.
Just on the production side, how much are you producing nowadays? How much liters? And can that be scaled up more, or?
We distill about 240,000 liters a year. Which is not our full capacity. We can do more. We can even push up to 1 million if you want to. And looking at last year, for example, the sherry itself sold out a lot. So that was a huge thing for us winning the award. The challenge for us is if we will like to extend and expand, putting another set of stills. But if we want to do that, we cannot do it in the current location. Because we have to move to somewhere else. That will be the challenge. It is doable. It is doable. If there is a demand, we will definitely look for a different location somewhere around and move the whole setup somewhere else. But at the moment, that is our setup and our capacity that we can do.
Yeah. Yannick has a question about the sherries that you have made at Rodriguez. Are the Palomino and the Peaks already blended, or are they separate sherries? He asks. I'm just reading.
Sorry?
I was just reading what he writes, so I'm not sure what the question is, but yeah.
No, well, it's not blended. That's what I know. It is.
No. So you do have like a sherry casks. PX casks are separate, and yeah, of course.
Yeah, we have the PX cask separate, and we have the Oloroso separate as well. That is also a classic example of what you're going to try in some time, because we have a single cask as well in a lineup today.
Yeah.
So we have those two, and then when we make for the core range, when we make it, we put them together.
Yeah.
So 25% of the Oloroso, 25% of the PX come together, for example.
Yeah.
We have some single cask as well, which we are going to try in some time.
Yeah.
About a single cask.
That's actually the next whiskey in the lineup is the PX sherry single cask one. Maybe just one more question. You can already pour, of course, but what these casks? How often do you reuse them? Is it just one time that you use them, or
we tend to use our cask 2 times, which is the best that you can do in our climates. I've not seen any or tried any we have done the ex bourbon cask, we have done the STR cask, which goes in our core range, of course, but the sherry or fortified wine or something of the special cask, not tried any of those used second as used twice. But we use 2 times, and I think that's the best that you can get out of the cask before it's completely dried off from the flavors.
yeah, and also because the climate, I guess, in Israel is so hot that the casks just wear out faster.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Are we trying the black bottle PX?
Yes, we are trying the M&H single cask PX sherry butts. I'll just pour myself a little bit, and this is the black untransparent frosted bottle.
The black bottle. Yep.
I'll just read out the distillation date is 12th of August 2018, bottled 12th of May 22. So this is just under 3.5 years old.
This is a single cask. So whenever you see a black bottle single cask out, this is a distillery release. So why the story behind the black bottle is it's something new. It just came up last year. Every time Tomer, our master distiller, working at the distillery, he finds some of the cask. So some of the cask which is exceptional, like fantastic, and he is not happy to use it for a blend. He's like, I am not going to use it for any blend. I want to use it. It's very special. So that is like, for example, this is a PX sherry cask. He could have used this for the elements range, but no, it was so good that he wants to keep it separate. That's why we came up with this black bottle. That's a distillery release single cask, very exceptional. And number of bottles. What's the number of bottles on the label? So if you say 300 bottles or 500 bottles,
544.
544. So if you're saying at the 544 bottles, this is 544 bottles released globally. So not many come to each country. It could be 10, 20. Because it's released globally at all, everywhere. Something that we had submitted this as to the World Whiskies Award, so it's one of the finalists. So not many bottles. Every time I talk about single cask, I always mention single cask are very personal. If I love a single cask, and I come to you and say this is fantastic, and say I don't like it, it's totally understandable, and that's how single cask work. Because single cask there are 2 different PX casks maybe. I love one and you love the other one. Yeah. It's doable. That's how single cask work. It's a very personal attachment that you come with a single cask. If you love it, go for it. And it's a single cask. There's not many around of it. A lot of raisiny notes on that kind of.
It's very typical PX. It's quite dry. But I do feel what you're saying is right. I mean, it's almost like liking or not liking this kind of whiskey is like telling people who you are. basically.
Yeah.
It's
like individual. It's like when someone says to define or me as a person is different than you as a person, right? It's a different character. And when you're talking about different characters, this is what you're talking about. It could be the same sherry cask, same PX sitting next to each other, but they are very two different animals, two different characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the things which I when you try this, it's like it almost gets very that raisiny sweetness. Sweetness reminds me of a rum kind of a cask. It's like a raisiny rum, you know. Amazing, I love it.
Yeah. Also, for those of you that didn't notice yet on your label, this is 56.9%. So this is bottled at cask strength, I guess, Shilton. All the other whiskeys that we're going to taste are in the same area of ABV, the next one. So just so you know beforehand.
Changing gears.
Changing gears, yeah, just kicking it up a little notch. What I always think about when tasting M&H products or when talking about it is these are all very young whiskeys. They are all just a couple years old, basically, but still very much full of flavor. Is that mainly due to the distillate or to the way you use casks?
Both. So for us, it is because we know that we cannot be maturing the whiskey for a long time in the cask. It's like because of the hot climates, we try to work backwards, right? So we make sure that our spirit itself is quite oily, a lot of pastry notes on it. You get that pastry sweetness on the spirit already. We fill the cask, we get it at 73, 74, and then we water it down to 63.4 when we fill the cask up. But when you get it also, that is one point of it that we get that oiliness on the buttery character on the spirit. And then you get it into the cask. With the higher temperatures, the extraction rate is so high that you get so many flavors, so many oils in a short time. So it's so flavorful that you don't. One of the things when you try a young whiskey, you always find that it is spirity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get it. It's a common thing. It doesn't matter. For us, it works that in such a way that it is oily character, and then you get the maturation, the wood character so much that it doesn't feel spirity. Even at a young whiskey of 3 years or 4 years old, people say, "Oh wow, it is great. You know, I can drink it. It doesn't look like it." It's like kind of dangerous to, you know, because it's easy sipper. It's an easy sipping whiskey. It at 56, 57. We have a whiskey, a single cask whiskey at 66.5. You know, or there are some single cask out in the market at even more than that.
The infamous the Shilton.
That's 67.5 as well. Exactly. Yeah. So that's a virgin of 3 years old, 3.5 years old single cask that we did. That is like dangerously easy drinking.
Mm-hmm.
But that is kind of the flavors that you get from the wood. It takes over so easily that it is easy on the palate. It's not spirity.
In your core range or in the bottles that are available right now, which would to your knowledge be the one that is the closest to the spirit character or the distillate character?
The classic.
Just the classic. Yeah.
If you ask me from the core range, what's my favorite? It'll always be the classic because that is the DNA. That is our DNA. That is what we are. Mm-hmm. If someone comes to the stand to your stand in whiskey shows or something and says, "Can I try one whiskey to understand what Milk and Honey?" I will always say, try the classic. Yeah. Of course, you can try the sherry, which is the award winner, or the red wine, but that is something different. But classic is the base.
Yeah, it's the bottle that tells most about the distillery as how it's producing, I guess. Yeah.
Also, it is 70% of ex-bourbon cask and about 30% of SGR. And we all know this, or at least I will say that is, if I really want to try a distillery character, I will always go with the ex-bourbon cask just to understand what it is. Because otherwise, you use something different, which is for me personally, if you try something else, which is a sherry cask or something, then you're letting the wood influence it more. Mm-hmm. The same thing for us. If you look at the Apex range, we let the wood take over.
Yeah.
In the classic and the elements, we don't. We keep the distillery character more. But with the Apex range, that we have a tequila cask, we have orange wine cask, so many of those where we let the wood take over. So if you ask me again, classic is the DNA.
Yeah. And classic, just to remind us, we're not having it in the samples, but that's bourbon cask. Is it refill bourbon, first fill bourbon, or a mix?
It's mainly first fill bourbon cask and STR cask. So
STR.
classic itself is you get vanilla and honey coming from the bourbon cask, but there is a 30% of that is STR. So STR will give you that wood spice, more depth to it. So it doesn't taste like well, you don't feel it's a young whiskey because it's got some depth to it, some character to it. And that's coming from the STR cask. So it holds the liquid together.
Yeah. For those of you that are not with us with STR, that's shaven, toasted, recharged. So these are casks that are shaven off on the inside, retoasted, recharred, and then used again. So to revive the wood basically and give it more chance to influence.
These are ex-red wine barriques. In short, I always tell people, in short, to understand how the flavor profile is. It is a mix of a red wine cask and a virgin put together. Yeah. So that will define. That's an easy way of saying it.
Couple questions, Shilton. Dirk is asking, at the distillery we tasted a peated PX, the distillery bottle. Is there one coming for export? Peated PX.
Peated PX. Do you want one, Dirk? Is it?
Of course he wants one.
Yes, it's a single cask. Then if you tried, Derek, if you tried the one which is from the cage, I don't know which one did you try. You try from the cage, then if you tried from the cage, it's already bottled for somebody.
It was in the distillery itself.
From the cask directly?
Yeah.
I drank it all. No.
There is somebody going for your title as the whiskey sucker, Shilton.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. If you have tried it, the peated PX cask is come out. It is available in the black bottle.
Okay.
It is out. It was released in a black bottle. Yeah.
Shilton, before we go on to the next whiskey, another question here, which was bound to pop up, I guess. Does the situation in Israel right now have an influence on the distilling, production, export process for you guys?
The only way it has changed, it has affected us is with the shipping, I will say. When I say shipping in and shipping out, getting the raw materials in and getting it out, getting stock out. That has slowed down the process and is also very expensive because there are not many companies who are operating. Other than that, the other second thing how it is affected is the team being disturbed. That's it. Otherwise, all safe, all good, operating. As I said, they are in Spain, so traveling around, normal. But shipping-wise is only where it is affected us at the moment.
At last, a tasting note, Shilton. A short one, but a good one. Bjorn and Joran are really loving the cask strength sherry, so very good.
Well, nice.
Yeah. And Martin wants to know, is the visitor center is open again?
Is it for Martin?
Martin is asking, yeah.
No, it is open, but not for Martin.
Not for Martin, yeah. His
No,
picture is up by the door.
It is open. We opened up. We are back. We're getting bookings. We are very busy at the moment already at the visitor center. Yeah.
Martin is asking if Femke can go in.
Anytime.
Anytime, yeah. Great. Listen, let's go to the other apex that we have in the lineup, which is the Mouton red wine cask. For everybody, this is a normal bottle, so a transparent one.
Yeah.
And this is bottled at, where is the
56.7.
ABV?
56.7?
56.7, yeah, that's the one. Distilled the 3rd of January 2019 and bottled the 16th of February 2023, 1,544 bottles. So this is not a single cask, this is a small batch.
It's a small batch. It's a small batch of 6 casks.
Mhm.
How many bottles were there?
1,544.
Yeah. So I think we did about 6 casks. 3 of them was 2018 vintage, and 3 of them was 2019 vintage. Good luck trying the wine to understand it, to find the wine itself. Cinoco is an importer, right? Is still an importer, Derek?
Yeah, he's nodding. Yeah.
Very hard to find the wine itself.
Not cheap, the wine.
Not cheap. Yeah. Someone asked me one day in when we released this, saying, "What is this wine about?" I'm like, "I will let you know when I have the money to try it."
Can you share which winery the cask came from? Because it's not on the bottle.
No, we cannot share.
You cannot share.
We cannot share much details about it because, as I said, it's actually we cannot.
Yeah.
Somebody knew somebody who sourced the cask for us, and we got 6 casks from them, and we did it. One of the places to actually, as I said, Cinoco will be a good option to tell more about the wine, about how it is, but very rare, very rare. Actually, we got the cask from Mutter Rothschild. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I'll cut this out of the recording. No worries.
No, it's all right. It's all right. it's okay. But yeah. But we got 6 casks from them, from someone. Now don't ask me who. we managed to source some cask, and then we did mature the whiskey in there. Sold out, actually. We don't even have any more of those at our distillery. Yeah, we don't have any left. I don't know. Does Cinoco have any left with you?
I think so. I was checking the stocks on the website earlier, and I think I saw this one still available. So yeah.
Very rare, very rare. Trust me, I don't know anybody else doing it, or I've never seen this anywhere. Anyone else doing it as well, and any other whiskey distillery using this cask.
Can I say I just tasted it, and I almost had the feeling that it's peated. It has some smokiness in it for me for some reason. Does anybody else have that, or is it just me?
It has got a bit of this minerally character, and I think I will say, if I had to put it's more like a minerally briny kind of character rather than smoky.
Something very interesting is happening here. So please forgive me if I'm silent a little bit more, because I'm trying.
I asked the guys to get me a 200 ml sample, so I'm going to try this, and the rest I'm taking home.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. But this is also a bit what you guys like to do, like experiment with different types of casks. Is it where does it start? Is it like, oh, let's try this, or is it really determined that I want to do this type of red wine now?
No. It starts with the coffee.
Okay.
It starts with a coffee in the morning, where Tal and Jomo sit down and they say, "We went to the restaurant yesterday. We tried that wine. The wine was good. Let's try their cask, for example. We went to the brewery yesterday. We tried the beer. Let's start working with them." That's the beer. When I said the beer, it's example of the art and craft series. We're going to talk about it later. But then art and craft series happen that way as well. So orange wine cask. We tried an orange wine cask. I mean, orange wine cask is not even that popular. You don't even find it much. But then there is a winery which makes it. We said, let's try it. Tequila cask. We are working with mezcal cask as well at the moment, which will be out soon. So we don't say no to any cask. Ex-Alba. That's a classic example.
Fantastic whiskey
how
too.
Far can you go to try? We say, like, okay, there is this distillery. I like that whiskey from that distillery. Their cask will be good, nice character. How will our spirit work in there? Let's get it. That happened with that ex-Alba that we did, which was ex-Leger. We have got some more as well, few more.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see Derek nodding the head because he's tried
Yeah.
some.
Yeah.
There are some few more coming out soon. Ex Alba
Mhm.
or ex Scotch, because it's like that distillery has got that character. It's not that we are trying to do to be them or try to be that thing, but it's like, let's try it out. You know, that's the whole idea. That's why we always try about 1 cask or 2 cask or 3 cask, not many, just to see how it goes. And that's the whole idea behind that experimenting thing. We don't say no to any cask. We don't say no to any cask, as long as it is like making sure it is kosher certified and all that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I don't know why, but there's a lot more reaction on this whiskey now in the chat going on. So, first of all, it's confirmed that there's still more of this in the stocks at Cinoco. So that's good news for whoever wants a bottle of this. Really woody. I really like this. Someone is saying, for me, it has something caramelized, really good toffee, insanely smooth. Love it. So yeah, some good reactions on this one.
It has got
Yeah.
this. It's got it's one of the whiskeys which actually coats your tongue. It's very softer on the palate, but it's in a nice way. It's not like it's an easy sipper. It's like, don't get me wrong, it's not like a pomegranate wine cask that we tried before, but it's like a nice creamy texture, which kind of holds on for a long time.
This is not for playing cards. I mean, this would take away your concentration on the card game.
This is a whiskey which I will normally pour to myself when my party is over and everybody left my house. You know.
Yeah.
They're all gone home, and I know that I deserve a nice dram. I'm going to pour this because it needs some time. It needs some time in the glass. It's one of the dram which you really enjoy nicely on the couch.
I'm just now thinking, because of course I can't compare with the wine, but if you can taste the wine in this, I always ask this when I see these kind of casks: what of the original product is still there? What do you still taste?
One thing I will say on this, from my experience I've come across, okay, I will really, it's all about experience. It's about when I
Yeah.
when something like this, I poured a whiskey to somebody one day, and it was a beer cask, the art and craft beer cask, IPA or something, and the guy just poured, had a sip of it and said, "But it doesn't taste like a beer." I'm like, dude, it's a whiskey.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to taste like a beer. It is supposed to get notes of the beer.
Yeah.
So, and I asked him back, when you have a beer, what flavors do you get? Or what do you get in the beer? He said, nothing. I said, okay, it's not for you then.
Yeah.
It's not going to help, because it's all about the flavor profile. It's all about understanding about the flavor. Beer itself is a big category, get different from hoppiness to something dark and creamy and chocolatey and all that stuff. Similarly, you get hints of those in the whiskey. That's the whole idea behind it. It's like, for example, if I do an art and craft as an IPA cask finish, I will say it's for IPA lovers. For me, I love an IPA, so that works for me. So similarly, for a dessert wine or a sherry, the notes of sherry, it's a spirit, it's a whiskey, but getting notes of sherry, that's the whole idea behind it. And there are some whiskeys you will try, which will really, when you have a sip of it, you're like, okay, it tastes like a wine. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's like you try a whiskey and like, okay, it's like a wine. It could be a red or sherry, but then you say to yourself, saying, I spent a lot of money on it. I could just bought a bottle of wine.
I ordered a whiskey and I got a wine.
Yeah. So it's a very common thing coming out. But then the whole, I mean, going back to the question is like, it is supposed to be, the whiskey is supposed to get notes of the cask influence on it.
Yeah. Maybe another thing that I'm always wondering with younger distilleries like M&H, you see that certainly in their first 10 years of existence, they put out a lot of different products. There's a lot of options, a lot of different cask finishes, a lot of different.
Mhm.
Is that in the long term the same strategy? Will you be keeping on doing this, or is there more of a focus on the elements and then maybe slowing down on the different single casks and cask finishes and small batches?
No, see, the elements and the classic and the elements, the core range will always be the bread and butter. It
Sure.
has to be.
Yeah.
That is what it is. The core range, the small batches are there. That is the fun that we have. Because we can. And someone says, why do you do? Sometimes I have come across people coming to me and saying, why do you try all these different experiments? Are you confused? You don't know what you want to do? I mean, we know what we want to do, but if we can, why not?
Yeah, sure.
If we can try it, why not? We have the core range, which is our focus. That is what will be the future of the brand, the core range. These are small batches. I mean, the mouton, for example, it will. If you come back to me in 2 years' time, it is gone, disappeared.
Yeah.
I can only see the Dead Sea and the pomegranate being there every year, batch after batch. But the mouton, the tequila, orange wine, it will be history.
Yeah.
It is something because we are trying. The good thing is that we lose a lot. The angel share for us in Tel Aviv is 11%. And so instead of crying about it and complaining about it, we thought and we said, let's make the most out of it.
Yeah.
How to make the most out of it is let's try different stuff, because the extraction rate, the maturation is faster. So let's try it, and see. So that's what we do. There are some experiments, not all experiments are great. Some experiments, I always tell Tomer and the team, if there are any experiment which has gone bad, you're not happy with it, let's drink it.
You can always drink it. That's that's the thing. Yeah,
exactly.
And as you were talking about this, it just got into my head that it's almost like the classic and the elements are your if you would compare it, if you were a rock band instead of a distillery, these are the songs that you will always play, and the other ones are the special live versions and the ones that are one-offs at one gig, and if you were there, you were lucky, but it will never be there again. Something
exactly.
like that.
You missed it. It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah. Which is also what I like about the whole whiskey industry. These kinds of things. So yeah. Cool. Jean is asking if you are planning on doing a Cheval Blanc cask.
As I said, we never say no.
You never say no.
We find one, we'll do it. Not yet. We don't have it. If that's the answer you're looking for, we don't have it. But if you find one, we'll do it.
Oh, and now everybody's asking stuff. Chateau d'Yquem is the next one. These are in the same metaphor of the rock band. These are the requests now.
No, the only thing is that because we are kosher certified, we have to get cask only from a kosher certified winery, and that is only because of the winery. Because the rules are more strict with the winery. I mean, for example, one of the kosher, I was doing a tasting in Belgium. Whiskey Hawks, it is Whiskey Hawks.
Yeah.
The guys, I was doing a tasting with them 2-3 years ago. And then I met a nice guy over there and said, I've got if you want some champagne cask, I can help you with it. Like, we can work. But then I said, I would love to, but I cannot because you're not kosher certified. So it is a kosher winery. Then, of course, tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I'm going to call you. Can I get it? As long as it's a kosher winery. But if it is not, I cannot. So I have restrictions. But the good thing is that Israel as a country itself has got about 400 active wineries. So there's not, you tell me the wine type, there is always a winery who's making it. I was talking about sherry. There's no sherry, but there is a sherry type wine.
Fortified wine.
In Israel. Exactly. We have a fortified wine cask. If you ever see a label that says fortified wine cask, which is like a port wine cask, but you can't call it port because it's not from Portugal. So it is the same wine. So the job is done. But we can't put the name as port. So that is the challenges that we face. But the good thing is that the wine is not a problem. wine cask is not a problem for us because we can source local wineries.
Just before we go on to the next whiskey, a little personal request: Genever cask. Something you would like to do? A Genever cask.
In the making already.
In the making. Okay, cool.
Yeah, something.
All right.
You didn't ask me something else, which is a goose cask.
A Geuze cask, yeah, another good, yeah.
The liquid is already in. So wait for it.
All right, cool.
Who and when I don't know. I cannot tell you that, but it's M&H and some collaboration, something going on. Not with us. I cannot do it. We cannot. We cannot do it. But
it's an independent.
It is in Belgium. Somewhere.
Okay, yeah. I think I know who.
Yeah, of course you know.
All right. Good news.
What's next?
Next is the single cask white dessert wine, and that's a good link because we were just talking about the fortified wines. So we have the single cask Belgian drop. Distilling date 13th of February 2018, bottled 21st of August 22, and there's 273 bottles of this produced at 57.4%.
This came out only for Belgium, and it's not only for Belgium, it's only for Cinoco, actually. It's Cinoco exclusive bottling that we did. Fortified white wine cask. Again, you asked me, you were inquiring about this as well, Jeroen, about the type, because we can't put a name. So if I had to say, I would say it's a white port wine cask. It is like a port wine, white wine cask, but we cannot put the name. We can't call it port because it's not from Portugal. But local winery, the local winery which does the wine, and we get the cask from them. We work with a lot of them, just trying different stuff. I still remember we went before this was bottled. Wow.
Yeah. I was thinking what they did in Australia with their local sherries and port wines is they just gave it a new name. So the local port wine is now called, or the local sherry wines are now called Apera wines. So maybe that's something to think about in Israel too. So
some local wines, come up with a different name.
Yeah, just call the whole subsection of the fortified wines. Just call it something new.
Like using an ex-Scotch whiskey cask, calling it an ex-Alba. Why don't come up with something else? Huh?
Yeah.
Wow, this is lovely.
Yeah, it is.
It's been some time I tried this. Wow, creamy. It has got some funkiness to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In a nice way, and which I love.
Yeah.
Some nice. I don't know if you got it as well, but I got kind of nice, earthy, grassy character to it.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking some really the cough syrup I used to get as a kid that I really loved.
Mm-hmm.
Actifed, probably the guys here, the Belgian guys know this. There's some hints of that in there too.
Wow, and I love my funky rum. If I go to a bar anytime and someone says, "What kind of whiskey do you like?" and I say, "Give me something which is nice and funky."
Mm-hmm.
The word I use is funky.
But there's no better word for it, I think.
No, this is. I mean, a lot of people is like, "What? Why?" But my funky is different to your funkiness.
Yeah.
I know what I am expecting in my mind, like a funky rum kind of thing. This ticks the box. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, in the beer world, funky is a negative word.
Yeah.
So you don't want funk in your beer, but in whiskey and in rum, I really love funk. So everybody's loving this. Best one in this class. The best. I love this one. Jean wants me to say something in Limburgs. I don't know what you want me to say, Jean, but And again, Thierry says peated funkiness. I also get this a little bit of a hint of a smokiness or something.
I will say, as I said, it's nice. You get that funkiness, but for me, it has got some of that earthiness, that earthy, grassy
Yeah,
notes.
it's probably that. Yeah, it's probably that.
That which could be confusing with the peat. I don't know. I mean, for me,
Mhm.
but I personally, if you ask me, I get that earthy, grassy, funky notes to that.
Mhm.
And sweetness is there, of course, from the port, but then it's like
Yeah,
mezcal vibes. Did I say?
mezcal
Did I read
vibes
that?
mixed with Jamaican funk. All right. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Do you still have some of that left, Derek?
He's nodding again.
Can you send me a shipment to the UK? Sometimes I just keep buying my own stuff. I was like, and then I go back home and say, I'm just doing the opposite of my boss what tells me to do. My boss wants me to sell stuff, and I'm just buying it.
Buying it yourself. Yeah. I think Yannick hits it there in the nose, green notes. What you're talking about, and in taste, he has some smokiness as well. So I think we can agree on that. There's just a lot happening in this whiskey. Dry cigar leaves.
Wow.
Yeah. I
was going with the Mouton as a favorite, but then somehow, personally, today in this session, this is the winner for me so far. Wow. I can smell this all day.
I'm just happy that there's some left in my bottle. Good.
I'm just happy I'm taking this back home.
Yes, you also have a 20 cl. Maybe just something about just globally the distillery, what you're doing. What are your next plans for the near and distant future? Is there anything coming up special or?
Besides all the crazy stuff that we do, you mean?
Yes, besides all that.
Besides all the crazy experiments that we do of different casks, the biggest challenge at the moment is that meeting up with the demand. This year, we are actually struggling with our sherry cask. We don't know. There could be a shortage at some time. We'll be running out of it because we sold loads of it last year. So we have it. We are okay at the moment, but could be challenging. Let's see how it goes. And expanding, growing, if you want to, as I said, which is a big thing about shifting the whole setup to a different location is not easy. If we have to do it, find a place, move, that's the biggest challenge for us. But besides that, just wait and see. I would say, we are full about M&H is all about surprises, about coming up with something different. Mezcal cask, orange cask, tequila cask. So like we just released, we are coming up with this year. We're coming with the Tokai cask and the art and craft Tokai cask, Tokai Madeira, White Port, and Richotto. So something very different, dessert wine cask. Just like the Dead Sea, we have also Israel as a country has got different climate zones from Tel Aviv, Jerusalem mountains, Dead Sea, the desert, and Sea of Galilee. So we had released, we matured whiskey at the Dead Sea, which we have all tried, and now we are coming out. We actually plan to release it this year, but just delayed, of course. So maybe early next year, January or so, we're gonna release the whiskey matured at the Sea of Galilee and Jerusalem mountains. Okay. And trust me, the Sea of Galilee, wow. When I was there in September this year, me and David, my colleague, tried something which was 18 months old, and we just went wow. 18 months, and we went wow. Like now, bottle it now.
Yeah.
That's how good it was. Yeah. So the Sea of Galilee is something that different climate. It will be very interesting at some point, in the future to do a tasting about that sea.
Yeah, the regional aspect of the maturation. Yeah, because the Dead Sea one, for everybody who has tasted it, that's also a spectacular whiskey, I feel.
So we could do a Sea of Galilee versus Dead Sea versus Jerusalem Mountains versus Tel Aviv. We in the future and then compare it. It'll be interesting, Joe.
Maybe we should already set the date because the 19th of February is becoming.
19th of February. I was just going to say 19th of February is the M&H day.
Yes. For those of you who are not following, exactly 2 years ago on the 19th of February, I did a tasting with Shilton, an M&H tasting, also online, and it popped up today on Facebook as a reminder of that. So that was when actually you had just started out a couple months at M&H at that time.
I was in Tel Aviv that day, and we did the first tasting. My first trip to Tel Aviv, actually, my first trip to Israel, and we did a tasting as well. So that was so funny because today morning I was in a train coming from Madrid to here, and I just saw this notification. I'm like, Jerome, this can't be true. This is like, are you serious?
I actually went out and looked for the same background picture to put behind me so we could take the same picture.
This is like a coincidence.
Yeah.
Wow. The best one ever.
It's pretty good stuff. So Jerry is already making it official on Google. 19th of February is M&H Belgian Day. So
let's do it.
I'll start the lobbying to make it a holiday too, an official holiday, so everybody can have the day off on the 19th.
Oh, there are so many things that we can do. We can come up with a special release and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes. Let's start thinking about that. But after we've had the last whiskey.
A Belgian ale.
Which is the Art and Craft Belgian Ale beer casks.
This is going to be very difficult to go from the Belgian drop to that.
Ooh, why would it be difficult?
I should have. Now I think I should have changed the lineup.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll just put it in your feedback form if the lineup was wrong.
Everybody loved that one. Everybody loved that. So now it's like, oh, can you keep it up?
Or can this be the little secret one? Yeah.
I feel sorry because at the moment Art and Craft Belgian Ale is under pressure.
Yeah. So again,
this is a part of the Art and Craft project that we did last year. So what we did was we worked with 6 different breweries. So that means there are 6 different Art and Crafts in the market, and all 6 came to Belgium. Of course, I made sure it came to Belgium because of the beer love. Belgian ale, Doppelbock, stout beer, IPA, barley wine. I don't even remember what. So all worked with local small breweries. What we did was we gave chocolate porter as well. Yeah, we gave them. We approached the brewery. We gave them 3 different casks, 3 cask ex-bourbon casks, and we asked them to fill the cask with the beer, and leave the beer over there for about 4 to 6 months time. After 6 months time, you take off a beer, you give our cask back. Some of the breweries actually bottled the beer. Some of the guys drank it. There is one brewery who didn't even like it. They said, like, we're not happy. We're just going to dump it out. Yeah. Fine. I'm okay with it. But the cask for us, putting in a lineup next to each other as a beer lover going back, wow. And I had just joined, and this project was out, the first Art and Craft that same year. I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, the first tasting I did, one of the best thing I did was Chris Lariz.
Yes.
And we did a beer and whiskey pairing in Hala. Wow. Honestly, that was an eye opener to me. Because why I'm saying this is when you have that whiskey itself, I tried the whiskey, it was great. But when you have that particular beer, could be a chocolate porter or a Belgian ale, for example, and you have a sip of that and you go back to it, the whiskey grows on you.
Mm-hmm.
The whiskey gets better. Like, it is not the same whiskey I just had before. I had the same whiskey yesterday, but now with the beer, it's a different whiskey. The pairing is so amazing. It's a very eye opener. It's very educational. I love it personally.
Yeah.
I get a bit, as you can see, I get a bit more passionate, romantic, and talking about beer and whiskey together. sorry.
Oh, Shilton, we already have somebody who likes this one the most out of the entire lineup. So
my favorite in the range is an Exile IPA, Art and Craft. And if you have it, Derek, please save me some bottles.
Derek's sales numbers are going straight up just by talking to you.
Or if you have any shop who is selling it, I will still buy that Art and Craft.
Yeah.
Exile IPA. The thing is, every time I go to Belgium, in Germany for a show, and they have the stock still, and every time I do a whiskey festival, 6 hours, that's the only whiskey I drink. Exile IPA.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, and now okay. Thierry and Thomas already want you to do a friet and frikandel finish or a friet and stoofvlees finish for the next M&H.
What?
You don't know about frieten and frikadellen?
No.
Okay, we'll have to teach you next time you're here.
Oh, don't even go there. Don't even ask me about my Flemish. There are only a few people who know about my Flemish, and they are not happy about it.
I see Jan is asking if you'll ever want to do a honey whiskey, and I know why he's asking, because he's a beekeeper. So
honey whiskey, wow. No, not tried it. We had tried something very weird. Is something as a hot sauce cask. Did Derek try it? But he heard about it, right?
We saw the cask, but somehow we didn't taste it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I have not tried it. I have not tried as well. So yeah.
I know, because you ran away, Dirk, probably.
He lives. He can't run away from that place.
Yes. Well, talking about the honey, and Thomas is hitting a good point there. You could do a mead finish.
We have done one.
Oh, you have done one. Okay, there you go.
Maltstock, the festival in Netherlands.
Martin is saying Maltstock too.
Yeah, Maltstock did a mid cast.
Yeah. Which brings us right back to the podcast we did where I served you a mead.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I actually was wrong. There, we still have 10 bottles of the IPA left.
There you go.
GH11UR is my postcode, Derek. I'll send you the full address later.
I think there'll be some messages being sent around after this tasting.
I'll
give you bottles to Geert and Claudine, maybe.
Yeah, they have got a container already full. I can tell you this. I could do anything. If you ask me, the best M&H that has ever been, if you say the milk and honey that I can drink the most will be that. Personal. It's a personal thing because I like an Islay whiskey and I like an IPA, and put those two things together. So for me, the Art and Craft XL IPA is a favorite. And surprisingly, Tomer is like, nah, that's not me. He's like, he likes the chocolate porter or double chocolate porter, I think so. I'm like, it's great, it's good, but for me it is different. Well, so we always have this argument.
He probably needs a bit more education. That's where you go.
I'm going to educate him tonight.
Yes, I can imagine that. Maybe we're slowly getting to the end of the tasting. Just for everybody joining here, I would like to know what was your favorite of the evening. Just put it in the chat, and we'll see it run down there. I guess for you, Shilton, that was the Belgian drop tonight.
I can put my number on it. Belgian drop as number one
Mm-hmm.
from this lineup. Okay.
For this lineup and today, because it's always a moment.
Yeah, it always changes. So Belgian drop
time,
number one for me, Mouton number two, the Art and Craft number three. Yeah, top three.
Mm-hmm. How long are you in Spain for, Shilton?
Today, tomorrow, Thursday is it? I go back one night home, and then I go to Rome.
To Rome, okay.
And
weekend. When is your next appointment in Belgium?
It all depends when Derek wants me.
Always.
Always.
I can come tomorrow for you, Derek. to the beach in Blankenberge.
Yeah. Maybe I'll rephrase the question. When will you be in Belgium, and when can we meet you again on festivals and for tastings and stuff like that? Is there anything planned?
There is something which sooner. I could be with Saint Mac in July, maybe.
Okay.
It's in discussion at the moment, so I could be in Saint Mac. I think it's in July or June. July, I think so.
I was just checking because Gunther signed up for the tasting, but he's not live here, so we can't ask him. But,
that's a very typical Gunther thing to do.
Yes.
I am so glad this is on record. I want him to see this, hear this.
He'll probably join in about 2 hours. He's from Limburg, so.
It's not Gunther, it's Gunther.
Gunther.
So yes, that is the next thing sooner. I can see off, or we have to plan something before. I need to come. I need to come before Spirits in the Sky for sure. Mm-hmm. So we'll plan something.
Yeah, and we also need to brainstorm about Belgian International M&H Day next year on the 19th of February. So.
Oh, I think this is getting. I think this is getting a flag. I think this is getting a flag there.
Yeah.
I can see the flag. I can see the flag coming.
Yeah. Listen, people are saying a lot of their favorites. Just gonna read them out. Mouton, Belgian drop, PX, Art and Crafts, Belgian drop, PX, then Belgian drop, then Mouton, PX, Belgian ale, Belgian drop. Jean has good beers in his bar. He's just trying to seduce you now. Belgian drop, yeah.
Who's got beers in the bar?
Jean Gebelen in Roeselare.
What's the postcode? What's the easy way to get there?
Jean, what's your 8,900, something like that?
I was kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got 8,800. Yeah, it's Roeselare. He's got a nice bar. You can play pool and play snooker there too. So yeah, good selection too. The Bull in Roeselare. Listen, Shilton, is there something you want to say to these lovely people as a way of saying goodbye?
You said it. Is there a way to say goodbye to lovely? You guys are lovely. I mean, Belgium is my second home. Everybody knows it. I can't be more passionate, and don't get me emotional. If at all I get out of the industry, the most thing I will miss is Belgium. Right? If I move out from the industry anytime, Belgium is something which I will miss the most because of the people, and I love it. It's like the loveliest people I've ever seen in the entire career in the industry. It's like the fun that we have, the jokes, everything. So thank you for the love. And I would love to come and see you guys more and more. Not because of the beer, but
yes.
A bit.
Yes.
No. Jokes apart, just a bit of the beer, but more of the people. Love you. Thank you so much for the love, and really hope to see you guys again soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Maybe it's the beach. I don't know.
Who wanted to say something?
Maybe it's the beach.
It's the beach. It's the beach. Yeah.
Can I talk about the beach? No.
We'll do that after the recording has finished.
Right.
Thank you, Shilton, for talking to us again. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Always a pleasure to taste M&H whiskies, and always a pleasure to talk about those two people. Thank you everybody for being here, for interacting with us, for asking questions. The next masterclass for Cinoco is the 18th of March. Then we'll be doing a masterclass with Dougal Bar from Douglas Lang, which is a nice lineup. I have the bottles here already, and they are looking good. So hopefully we'll see you there again, and anywhere you want, basically, on a good whiskey event. So see you soon, guys.